Hey guys, this is Faster U4 brought to you by FitLab, Tailwind Nutrition, Biomax and Capital Cycles. If you're a cyclist and you want to go faster, then let's giddy up. Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Fast U4 brought to you by Capital Cycles, Tailwind Nutrition, Biomax, FitLab. Hey, we went to a bike race on the weekend. Wellington Masters Cycling Club Handicap Road Race. It was good fun, and I learned a big lesson. I'm going to tell you all about that. That'll lead into my coaching tip of the week, which was the aforementioned lesson. Also talk about what grinds my gears, and last but not least, the next race on the calendar you see in front of you is this weekend's race. Yesterday we did 2 laps of the flat-ish circuit, twisty-turny Mangaroa Valley in Upper Hutt, a handicap road race. What do we have there? We had 1 hour and 12 minutes. We had 46.2 Ks. So we're going on pretty fast there. 38.7 kilometers an hour, considering there's lots of turns and stuff. That's pretty quick. Average power 293 watts, and EP 329 watts. That is pretty strong. That is I'd call that an 8 or 9 out of 10 in terms of intensity. So that's very strong. Some good reasons for that I'll get into. Maximum 965 watts. There wasn't a sprint from me, and there's a very good reason for that. Heart rate average 151, that's normal. Average 170. So my average heart rate's not coming up. Sorry, my maximum's not coming up that high lately. I'm a year older than the last time I was getting really into high heart rates, so maybe that's why I'm an old fart. Average cadence 92, happy with that. Quite a stochastic race, especially towards the end there. So here are the results. We started out with about 6 or 7 guys or something in the scratch. So as you don't know, handicap road race is one where the groups are given a handicap according to their ability. The first group offers limit. They get to go at 9 a.m. and then there is a several minutes gap between each group. The idea being that the faster groups should catch the slower ones on the road and be roughly similar time into the finish. I start with the scratch group, which is the last group off, at 26 or 27 minutes behind the limit group. We worked pretty well, so we've got guys in there who are pretty good hitters actually. Ollie Ferry, Kieran Allwood, Brendan McGrath, me, Stephen O'Keefe, Thomas Borschenstein. I think that was us. It was kind of the first part of the team time trial piece of it was messed up by like a horse float in the middle of the road. It messed up our rhythm bit, and it's kind of like one of the early season handicap races, so you get the situation where guys don't flow as well together. I think that's pretty normal and it's nothing to get too worried about. Guys aren't quite sure of how to keep the group flowing nicely. There wasn't a lot of wind, so I wasn't entirely sure which way to rotate. But we got there in the end. After we got rid of the horse, and we got past the first turnaround, things started flowing pretty good. And for a lot of what was going on, it was pretty clear that Brendan McGrath and I were the stronger riders in the group. So me but especially Brendan did a lot of work on the front to pull back the groups up the road, which we did in the end. We pulled back all of the groups. Now, late in the, about halfway through in the race, I figured that we probably would catch all the groups, and thus wanted to do some attacking on my own, so put in a fairly good burst up one of the more decent climbs in the race. It's this piece here. You can see, I'll just zoom in if you're watching this. A good piece of power here. About a minute at about 550 watts there. We didn't really drop anyone off from that, and Brendan pulled me back, mostly with the other guys on his wheel, I think was how it went. I had a number of other attacks down the valley, all of which kind of failed. I tried to attack out of corners, just on the flat, just when I thought guys might be a bit tired. But because of the calibre of the group, they really well pulled me back. I don't know if it was all Brendan. I think he was doing a lot of the work. Coming back in after the last turn, I think it's about the point where we caught the last group, or the groups that had come together, the break and limit groups, and I attacked again. One of my attacks was fairly decent, didn't last terribly long. See if I can see it in here. It's probably the point in here. I don't know, maybe I was away by myself for a minute or so, but again, didn't really come to much, and I got caught. We had Kieran Allwood really bury himself towards the final little climb up Cowpat Hill, and strung the group out. Again, not enough to drop anyone off the train really. The level of all those guys in Scratch seemed pretty high, and that's good to see for some of the races coming up. We were coming into the last few rollers. I was trying to light it up a bit without a lot of success, and that saw a large attack up the final roller by one Brendan, F. and Graf. Now, I wasn't too worried at this point because I thought we had to go back down to the first chain around and come back, and that would be how it would finish. And I was wrong. The race has finished, or a similar race has finished like that in the past. I had that in my mind, and that is completely my mistake. So I had in my mind that we could leave Brendan a little off the front. I thought the guys were working pretty well. I was happy to put in a fair bit of work. I knew there was going to be a slight headwind on the way back up and a slight uphill drag. I thought we would catch him in that last piece of the race, which, much to my chagrin, didn't actually exist. So Brendan lit it up. I noticed the guys coming into the final corner of the race were going pretty hard, and I thought, well, that's okay. They'll just want to make sure they catch Brendan, so I sort of sat on the back like a complete muppet until I looked up the road, was far too late, about 10 metres before the line, to realise, oh, that's the checkered flag. I guess that means the race is finished. Either that or they put it up early, hoping they'd put it up early. They had not. They put it up exactly at the right time. So I rode across the line in fourth or something. So that was fine. I think, to be honest, I would have done a little bit better if I'd known actually that I should sprint there, or at least try to pull back Brendan, or go across to Brendan when he did his last attack, but I didn't. It's entirely my fault. Who knows, maybe it would have ended up the same anyway. Look, doesn't matter. It's an early season race, and this is precisely the sort of lesson you want to learn. So let's look at, before I move on to that lesson, what I actually do about it, how I approach that normally. I didn't this time because I was lazy. Let's look at the results. So we had all of the groups caught, a 27 minute handicap The aforementioned scratch group won by Brendan McGrath. The guys must have just about caught him, because if you look at that, there's only 3 seconds on the line between him, second place Thomas Abortionstein, who rode like a savage. I don't know if he's been that strong in the past, and it was great to see. He's a really good rider. We had my man Stephen O'Keefe very close, and third there, Stephen Wheelchair O'Keefe, in a wheelchair a few months ago. He's coming back. Now he's up to riding with the fastest guys in Wellington again. Great to see. Holly Ferry did a lot of good work, followed in by me and Kieran up in the rear after the aforementioned Savage Attack Before the Hill. Filling out the top 10, Robert McIntyre. It doesn't say the groups. It probably does there because of the time place. I'm too lazy to figure that out. Dave Delabarca, Blair Simpson, and Tony Evans. Rider of the day was Tony Evans. Good work, Tony. So a good, fun race. Now what was, obviously I made a big mistake there, not knowing where the finish line was, essentially. Now, normally that's not a big problem, because I give myself some insurance, which is, coaching tip of the week, write down some course notes. Now, because this wasn't a particularly important race, I didn't do that. And I probably thought I didn't need to, because I thought I knew the course, and I should have studied it better and written down course notes. So here's what I do normally. I normally grab a bit of kinesio tape. I don't use it that much anymore, so happy to waste it on this. I get a marker pen, a Sharpie or a Vivid, and I'll write down things that are important to me about the race. So you want to know your start time. This is what I sort of write down. I normally write start time for a road race. I'll write start time. I'll write where there are important factors in the course. A major climb, you know, how many kilometres through that is, where the finish is, how many kilometres that is. Maybe if there's a gravel section and you want to get to the front, anywhere where you need to do something particular for that course. You can have any sort of symbology you want. Normally pros will have some kind of, you know, like a triangle for a climb, or I don't know, it could be anything you want. I write this little bit of hieroglyphics down on a bit of kinesio tape, thick layer blue kinesio tape, about 5 to 10 centimetres long, and put it on my stem so I can just glance down, and if I want to know how many kilometres, say, until the finish, or where I should be positioned, might help you with that. Well, I can just look at my computer. On the screen I've got, you know, kilometres, distance covered. I can compare it. Maybe I know I have to get to the front or not. Sometimes it's hard to know on a stretch of road exactly where they're going to put the checkered flag. It's good to know. You know, if there's a climb and you're not so good and you want to do the old move where you move to the front and slide back on the climb, you really want to know where to get to the front. You can't always see that easily. You write it down. You get the idea. So, of course, yesterday, that would have told me, given me a reminder that, hey, Steve, yeah, this is the finish. This is you're at 35 k's and the finish is at 36 k's. So, obviously, I don't have this extra little bit of course to go. Get to the front or sprint or make your move. Have a Brendan do what you're going to do. But I didn't, and that's the price you pay. Not being organised. So there you go, 35 years of bike riding, still cock up the basics. That's life. So that is coaching tip of the week. Write down your course, what grinds my gears. Just probably this applies more to handicap racing. There's guys sitting in. Now, it's kind of like, if you are one of the weaker members of the group, I think there's a few ways to address that. You probably, you know, in a handicap race, it kind of behoves you to at least do a little bit of work on the front on the basis that for at least sort of probably the first half of the race, you are working together to try to maximise your speed to catch the groups in front of you. That's kind of the point. Now, if you're one of the weaker members of the group, that's much easier said than done, i.e. pulling on the front. Isn't that easy? But I think you should just try anyway. Even if your twins are pretty weak, it demonstrates a little bit of goodwill in the bunch. And I sort of think that's important, to build some goodwill in the bunch. Look, I know it's not always possible to do when you are struggling, but if you at least try, that's good. And look, if that means that you get a bit burnt out, burn some matches, and you end up falling off the pace, you are becoming a stronger rider from that. So what grinds my gears this week, guys sitting in, no names will be mentioned, and to be honest, it's not normally much of a problem at all. But I think you should probably try to get up in front, even if you're not that good, and put your oar in, as they say. Alright, let's talk about the weekend's race coming up this weekend. Things are getting a little bit pointier because we have another race organised by the glorious and majestic Wellington Masters Cycling Club, which I'm a member of. This is a graded race, 10th of September, start 9 AM, A, B and C grades, 3 laps of the mighty Gladstone circuit, Gladstone Upper Hutt. Sorry, not an Upper Hutt. Over the hill. You go through Upper Hutt, you go over the hill to the Wairarapa. That's 90 Ks, containing 3 decent hill climbs, 3 times up Miller's Hill. And now that's interesting because it's the same race as what is the week after, which is, again, a little bit of a step up, the North Island Team Series Race 1. Which is a team time trial in Gladstone, but then in the afternoon, the same circuit. So let's have a look at it. For those who don't know, it is here. So this is talking about the team time trial, Race 2 Gladstone circuit, and most of it's kind of flat and rolling. Around, I think it's Longbush Road, there are some sort of short rollers, but the main feature is about halfway through the course, about here or something like that. That's Miller's Road climb. It's not particularly big, and it's not particularly steep. It's something like 3 minutes at race pace maybe, or 4, but something like that. So just over sort of like around VO2 max power, you'll survive. It does tend to split the groups up. Suits someone who's a bigger climber because it's not super steep. You want to be a decent climber, but not so small that you don't actually have a lot of gross power, especially if there's a tailwind or... Well, it actually doesn't matter about the wind. So I'm hoping that will suit me. I've never actually done that particularly well on it, so hopefully that will change. You do that circuit 3 times, you come around Longbush Road, there's those rollers and stuff, you take a lefty, back up towards the start finish there. It's sort of like a long false floating uphill drag, and this section, if you can't see it, the kind of northwestern side, can get very windy, and there was a race there last year where half the field got blown off their bike, and that corner, that 90-degree corner on the northern tip of the circuit is one to be, really, if it's windy in any way, you want to be on the front, because either the field's could explode from a massive tailwind, or it could explode from a massive headwind, guys charging off the front. If it is a tailwind there, like a northerly, yeah, being at the front, that's probably the most dangerous spot on the flat. Second biggest selection point is the hill climb, and the third is probably those rollers around towards the start finish. 90k, so that's a fairly decent distance for most Masters riders, especially with some good features in there like that hill climb. I think there'll be some tired leggies, There is, depending on where they finish, they normally finish on a slight uphill drag, and if it is a northerly and it's, on that drag and you are sprinting, suggest going for a shorter burst rather than a longer one, because into a headwind, you really want to, if possible, draft up on a good wheel near the front, have a good burst of power at the end, because it takes a long time from when you sprint to the finish line, and guys can often misjudge it by going too long. I have done that a number of times. It's kind of another tip about the course. So 3 laps of that, and as I say, that's identical, as far as I can tell, to the first race of the North Island Team Series with Team FitLab. We'll be rocking up against some other big hitters, try to win the Master 1 title this year. Taken last year by Big John Randall. I know he has a good team ready to go. He's training in Umea at the moment. Umea? Samoa. Somewhere tropical that isn't Wellington, which is currently at about 10 degrees and drizzly. So good for him. You can see Brendan Airstrike McGrath is in good form from his good riding yesterday. He is in the team, I understand, as well as some other savages, so it will be all on. And because it's race 1, it will be important to be pretty aggressive up front. Alright guys, I'll leave it there. Thanks for watching. As always, this is brought to you by FitLab, Tailwind Nutrition, by Nexa, Capital Cycles. If you'd like a coaching plan from me, go to fitlab.co.nz. You can email me, steve@fitlab.co.nz. See you on the weekend. Thanks for watching/listening to Fast to You Full, brought to you by FitLab, Capital Cycles, Tailwind Nutrition, and Biomaxa. If you'd like to get in touch for a coaching program or testing, you can get hold of me, steve@fitlab.co.nz, or go to fitlab.co.nz. Talk soon, guys.